What's going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. I literally just got home, pulled into my, driveway or whatever from North Carolina, and had to get on here and record a video. First of all, William Jeffrey Collins should be ashamed and embarrassed of himself for what he's trotting out there on the field in Chapel Hill. I still hear some excuse making of, you don't see DC's turn things around in the first year, and it's a talent issue. He's got to get his players in. It's not a talent issue. This is the same dummy that while he was head coach at Georgia Tech, playing North Carolina, looked across the sideline and said, I have a Woody for those players. If I can get this is from his mouth. If I can get players like that, that's what defensive players look like. Well, now he has it. And everyone gets excited. Oh, they're 3-0 and they beat Minnesota, who no one gives a crap about, who has an awful offense. And then you play what? North Carolina Central. And then I forget, some other nobody. Charlotte, which is literally 15 minutes up the road from them or whatever. And then you get into conference play, and it's not even like you're playing world beater teams. They have to have now given up like 2,000 yards of offense in 4 games. Well over. There's no excuse anymore. And it couldn't be, look, we've talked about it, a more poetic ending. All right? Because I've said this. There are times North Carolina, look, they can go 3 and out. They can make some plays. They can get off the field. They can hang in a game. But here's the thing. It's a 4-quarter game where 11 guys all have to be on the same page for all 15 minutes of each 4 quarters. So if you play really good defense for an entire game, but the game comes down to one play and you completely shit the bed, it doesn't matter how well you played, the other 3 quarters and, 99% of the fourth. Doesn't matter. And when the game mattered the most, we're not even trying to score. Georgia Tech did absolutely everything they could do to lose this game. They give up a special teams touchdown for the 2nd week in a row. Our special teams have been awful. And let's just call it what it is. Our coaching decisions, and I'm a Brent Key guy, and I'm a Brent Key supporter, but some of the decisions that he's made, namely trotting out a 60% Haynes King and let him get carted off. He didn't get carted off the field, but taken out of the game for concussion protocol. That doesn't help that kid. He has aspirations to go play at the next level, man. Who knows how this might affect him? We bring in our backup quarterback, who has to be one of the best backups in the country, a guy that played for Brent Key in his interim year and probably had a lot to do with him getting that head coaching job and scratching out 5 wins or 4 wins while Key was interim. Zach Pyron's a kid that's won on the road in Blacksburg for you as a freshman, and you don't trust him to throw the ball. When we got the ball, Nate McCullum turns it over, who's North Carolina Nate McCullum now, not Georgia Tech Nate McCullum. And we just run it up the middle 3 times with Pyron, or we might have ran once with the running back, and basically just said, we're going to chew clock and concede a punt. We couldn't stop Criswell from running down the field on us on the draw. We couldn't be disciplined in our pass rush lanes. I mean, there was 3 runs in a row for 30 yards collectively. They tie the ball game up. We miss a field goal. I mean, Beer is 1 of 5 longer than 40 yards. We already talked about giving up the punt. Try and squib kick it and let them bring it back to the 40. Georgia Tech played awfully in a lot of the things that get your ass beat in a football game. But when the game mattered the most and we're just trying to chew clock and center a ball up for a field goal, I'll have to go back and watch the game. You let Jamal Haynes, who, let me tell you a little backstory on that. We all know that Jeff Collins basically wanted to cut him, but he screwed him Jeff Collins is a liar. This is what, I'm going to do a whole video on why exactly I feel the way I do about Jeff Collins if you haven't watched all the stuff. This goes well beyond Jeff Collins as a bad football coach. That's a given. That's evident to anyone with two eyes. Jeff Collins is a bad person, and that's not me being hyperbolic or trying to play a character or nothing. That's how I actually feel. Jeff Collins is a piece of shit human being. Jamal Haynes comes to early enroll. All right, yeah, we got a scholarship coming down to early enroll. We love that you're, coming to play for Georgia Tech. He comes down to early enroll, and Jeff gives a scholarship away. I mean, and that's the guy that just ran 68 yards on you. So, Jeff, I think you ought to call. I'm sure you got Jamal's phone number, or you have a way of contacting him. You ought to call and apologize for your sorry ass and what you did to him. Of course, he might have just beaten 68 apologies out of you right there in the last 16 seconds of the game. Not to mention, right after that, Jeff Collins wants to talk. Oh, he loves these kids, loves dapping them up, loves supporting them. That man went sprinted off the field faster than I've ever seen Jeff Collins move. It was like there was a Waffle House cup in his vision. He sprinted off the field real quick because he didn't want no part of it. He was embarrassed, and he should have been. So, look, that's 4 in a row against North Carolina. For a lot. I don't actually, at the core of it, have anything against North Carolina. It's insane to me that you hired Jeff Collins, but there's a lot of similarities between Georgia Tech and North Carolina, and like their fans treated me great. Shout out to Preston. Fed us with these bomb Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. He just so happened to sit, like 15 rows behind me or something. He came down and taught. Everyone at North Carolina was great. And a part of me feels bad that you have to sit and watch this abject failure of a man come out and lie to you week in and week out, blow smoke up your ass week in and week out, and trot that sorry excuse of a defense out there. And that's nothing against the kids that play for North Carolina on defense. They don't have a shot in hell at being successful under this guy. Jeff Collins is more concerned with branding stuff like this, silly sayings, how tight his sleeves are, flat bill hats, not wearing socks. And I confirmed that at the game. He's on the sideline not wearing socks. I don't know what it is about he doesn't like to wear socks. I didn't get to yell at him as much as I wanted to because the defense huddle on the sideline was like on the other side of the 50. You have the offense on like one side of the 50 of the bench and the defense on the other. He was on the other. He definitely heard us. He definitely knew we were there, especially after that touchdown. So on some level, I do feel bad for North Carolina fans. Because after the game, I learned that this man makes $1.1 million annually, base salary. That don't include his bonuses that he would now. He can dream about a bonus now. He makes $1.1 million. So you see everyone online, just in general, they're worried about this political issue or this political candidate or, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? And what no one's really talking about, the real issue, is that guy right there keeps stealing from public universities. This man should be arrested for what he's doing. He took $11.37 million from Georgia Tech. And by the way, North Carolina, if you were to fire him today, he would make, as I read his contract, whatever he's made to date, plus you have to pay him instantly $1.1 million to fire him. I mean, there's people out here busting their ass at what they do day in and day out. Digging ditches, building our roads, nurses busting their ass, taking care of us and getting us better. And they'll never sniff what this guy makes. clowning around and parading and impersonating a football coach. Now, he's definitely going to be unemployed at the end of the year. But even if you wait till the end of the year, you got to pay him his $1.1 million on top of what you've already paid him. That's a pretty big buyout for a coordinator on a 2-year contract. I tell you what, if you need to negotiate like the price of a vehicle, if you're going to go buy a new car, you need to negotiate their salary. Get whoever this idiot's agent is. He's got to be the best in the world that he's now fleeced Georgia Tech and North Carolina. That man should be arrested for attempted murder for what he does to schools. He tried to kill Georgia Tech, and now he's trying to kill North Carolina's defense, and it was already dead. It was already on life support, and he's pulling the plug. Now, I hope people can see why I've been the way I've been with this guy. North Carolina, if you're down right now, just think of this. Just think of me. You've only got to put up with this idiot for 1 year. He's going to be gone at the end of the year. He's gone. And you only have to pay him 1/10 of what I had to pay to buy him out. Me and the Georgia Tech faithful had to watch that for 3 years and like 3 games. You're just watching it on fast forward. You're going to go into a bye week. It's not going to be any better. Again, Georgia Tech did everything they possibly could do to lose this game, from coaching decisions to bad special teams play, to not executing, not even being able to throw the ball. And I was listening to Inside Carolina. And to their credit, they're absolutely right. They said, Georgia Tech did exactly what the scouting report would show they would do. Exactly. If you've watched Georgia Tech for a game or more, Georgia Tech is somewhat terrified of throwing the ball. We have a hurt quarterback. We're banged up at like tight end now, especially with Goody going down. We want to come out and hit you in the mouth and run the ball. And we did exactly that for 370 yards or something? Jeff Collins' game plan was, I don't want Haynes King to beat me with his legs. He still runs for 120. So let that sink in with this guy. You know, if you're a coordinator, a defensive coordinator, generally you're going to say, I want to take away what they do best, what they want to do, what their go-to is, and make them beat me with something that they're not comfortable with or they haven't showed they're comfortable with. He can't even do that. He can't even do that. He can't even take one thing away from you. Haynes King, we had 2 different running backs rush for 100 yards, one of which being our quarterback that ended up exiting the game. How do you give up the last play? And if you're a North Carolina fan, I guarantee you that's why. If anyone actually goes to practice out there, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't prepare people for situations. He takes shortcuts. You know, he's really what it boils down to is he's more concerned with being everyone's friend and being Mr. Cool and one of the guys than being a football coach. So, hate it for North Carolina. Love it for him. I wish we could have hung more on him. And I think it was a Syracuse fan that commented, oh, he ain't going to talk about them, you know, coming back from a 2-score deficit in position to win that game. No, I will. My asshole was like this. You'd shove a rock up there and get a diamond. But you know what? And shout out whoever commented this, comment of the year. You can't choke a game away to this guy. You cannot out-choke the choke artist. You cannot out-shit coach the shittiest coach of all time. Can't be done. Even if North Carolina would have won that game, it would have been despite him, not because he did anything great. 505 yards of offense against Tech this week, with them doing exactly what they want to do, which was run the ball. 520 yards of offense against Pitt, with them throwing for 370. They don't like the run. They like to throw more. Whatever your offense likes to do, they're going to do it the best when they're going against him as DC. Couldn't happen to a better guy. Couldn't happen to a better guy. Again, he runs off just like a coward right after that run, or right after the last play, and hides in his, in his pool noodle hole. He talks about not sleeping much at night. I hope you don't, because you're a thief. You're a flat out thief. So, congratulations to the Jackets. We got Notre Dame this week, and this isn't even anything against North Carolina. If you play the way you played the last 2 weeks, if you play like you did against Louisville and North Carolina, and even at times against Duke, you're going to get drug up and down the field by Notre Dame. That's just a fact. There are so many things wrong with Georgia Tech right now as a football team that need to be corrected, that need to be improved. It's not even funny. But at the end of the day, we're 5-2. Most reasonable fans, when you did the season prediction before the season, had us at 5-2, right? You probably had us with losses to Louisville and Florida State, but you had everything as far as building your program and getting better and building season over season is still in front of you. But you got to correct some of this stuff. So absolutely F Jeff Collins. He's a piece of garbage. He deserves every bit of hate he's going to get from the Georgia Tech and now North Carolina fan base. And I hope the absolute worst in life for him. So y'all have a good one.